Good afternoon, everyone. This is episode 11.
It is episode 11.
Yeah, episode 11 of The Entertainment Room. Now, I have got some sad news. Because we're university students and we do break up for the summer, this will be our last Entertainment Room podcast, as next week, which would have been our last one, we are doing a E3 special,
Yay!
where the entire episode is going to be based around what happened at E3, what we're looking forward to, the cringy moments, and what lies Todd Howard has spewed out this year. So, if you're not a gaming fan, then I wouldn't bother with next week's episode. But if you are, then definitely tune in, because we will be discussing absolutely everything. I'm assuming my guests will be watching E3.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, because
I'm your producer, but I can still try and watch it.
I don't sleep anyway, so it's fine.
You can just watch the best bits. So this is going to be the last official Entertainment Room until about the 1st of October, maybe earlier. I'm not sure yet.
But next week is going to be great. It's going to be extra long. We might even have some nice audio clips and some really good highlights and things like that. And we've actually got the gaming brains. I'm taking a seat out so Rhiannon can come in because she's an absolute gaming expert. So you've got 3 absolute experts who know what they're talking about, and you're going to love it. It's going to be fantastic, and we're all looking really quite forward to it. But we start with today, and we do start in gaming today. And where do we start?
Well, yeah, we thought we might kick off with gaming, as E3 is next week. So before I start with any of the news, what are you guys looking forward to next week, or what are you hoping is going to be announced?
I'm looking forward to this big worldwide reveal of Marvel's Avengers. I love Avengers, and I think that Marvel has had a pretty good track record recently on their games with the Lego stuff and Spider-Man. So, that I'm quite looking forward to that. I'm hoping we get some more stuff about Starfield. I think that's what it's called, Starfield.
Yeah.
Which is Bethesda's new game, and maybe a little bit on Elder Scrolls 6. I'm not holding out much hope, because they're notoriously cagey about details on their games, particularly if the game is a bit rubbish. So, as we've seen with Fallout 76, so yeah, I think it'll be a good week or so.
Yeah, see, the thing is, Bethesda are doing a proper conference, so they're going to be on stage. They must have something big to reveal. I know they've got Doom Eternal coming out, but that's one game. I don't really see the point in having a whole conference on it. They've got Doom Eternal. Is Rage 2 out yet?
I don't know. Maybe what they're doing is a live public execution of Todd Howard, just to apologise for all of the mishaps over the last year.
Remember that one time Sony sacrificed a goat on stage for God of War? Are they going to do something like that?
Except with Todd Howard.
Yeah. But I feel like they've got something up their sleeve. I'm really hoping for an Evil Within 2 DLC, because that was really enjoyable. And one thing I noticed today was they were sharing artwork of Dishonored. So I'm wondering, is there a Dishonored 3 coming out, maybe?
I don't know. I think there have been a couple of rumours about there being a Dishonored 3. I think I do know that the rights for it have been taken out, so nobody can make one unless it's Bethesda. So,
Yeah, so that's definitely something to look forward to. Jacob, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to quite a few things, actually, surprisingly. First of all, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare. They should have got a better title for that. I mean, reusing a title, really?
It's actually going to be a full reboot.
It's going to be a full reboot, is it? Okay.
They've already remastered it, but they're not doing that. So it's not a remaster, it's not a remake, it's not a sequel, it's a full-blown reboot. They're redoing the whole series.
And I can't wait.
And I'm looking forward to that, because I fell out of love, really, with Call of Duty, sort of into my later teens. Some of the titles that came out just weren't as good, so I'm hoping that a game like this could really sort of rekindle my love for the Call of Duties, because I'm bored to death of playing Fortnite. So.
And I'm the same, really. I fell out of love with Call of Duty in my late teens, and I would always find myself going back and playing the original Modern Warfare 2, because those are 2 brilliant games, and I am quite happy that they're bringing it back. I hope it will be good. I think it points to it being good, because you've got Captain Price, who's an icon, really, but they're also taking a new route, I think, with one of the campaigns where you're following a female Kurdish freedom fighter. Now, not many people know about the war in Kurdistan. Quite big, quite a lot of political implications, but I think that could be quite a compelling storyline.
And I was going to say, I mean, as well as that, it's got a lot to do in terms of trying to overthrow these battle royale games, which have been dominating the market for nearly 2 years now. The other things I look forward to briefly, Halo looks gorgeous, Doom Eternal looks gorgeous. Will Xbox reveal something new? I mean, there's rumours Microsoft have been, taking over studios left and right and actually getting the rights to games, so maybe that could be something good, but also something that I'm not looking forward to as such, but I'm curious. This Google Stadia thing that we talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Is that the console?
That's the console in inverted commas, because I don't think there's much hardware to it. So I'm interested to see just what it can do, because I don't really think it's going to live up to a good expectation, but I hope I'm surprised. I really do.
I'm skeptical. There have been presumably this is going to be a console, an Android-powered console. We've had many Android-powered consoles in the past. You had, I think it was called the Ouya a couple of years ago, that had quite a public Kickstarter campaign, and there are a few others, and none of them really lived up to the expectations because, your selection of games was so limited unless you knew how to hardwire Steam games into it. Although, since this is coming directly from Google, we shouldn't underestimate the power of Google as this huge corporation with their fingers in many pies. They'd easily be able to get the rights to so many games for their own console, but with how Android consoles have worked in the past, I don't see this being very good.
I feel like the problem that a lot of these companies are doing at the moment is they think that we're more interested in this kind of technology than we actually are. Like, I really don't care about cloud gaming. I actually kind of appreciate having my game on a disc, knowing that no one can hack into an account and get rid of all my games. And I don't see the point in this because it's obviously not going to be very technically advanced. Whereas you got the PlayStation 5 and whatever the Xbox and the next Xbox is going to be called coming out soon, which are going to be like the peak of console technology and gaming technology.
Yeah, well, for about 5 minutes before PC gaming surpasses it.
Yeah. And so I just don't get why they keep on, I don't see any appeal to this. Yeah, it's all online and there's no console, but I want to be able to play a game that looks gorgeous. I can, it's far more technically advanced. The AI is decent. And it reminds me of when Blizzard came out with that Diablo game, I think it was last year.
Yeah.
And Diablo 3. And, all the fans were looking forward to this, and all of a sudden they do the bombshell that it's going to be released on mobile. And there's this, eerie silence throughout the whole hall where there should have been an applause. And they say, "What? Do you guys not have mobiles?" Oh, that was, why should we go back in time and have to play a game on the mobile, which looks terrible, plays terrible, probably doesn't run on most mobiles, because mobile games are terrible unless they are, very basic. Yeah, unless they're Angry Birds. Why don't we re-release the PlayStation 2 while we're at it?
I remember the Q&A from that reveal last year. I think that was the funniest part. Are you serious? Yes, we are serious. There's only one thing that would make the Stadia, the Google Stadia, a reasonable platform, and that would be the affordability. If it can get into a market which is way cheaper than the new Xbox and the new PlayStation, it might hold some hope. But will it? No, I don't think it will. I don't think so. Google would do that. Because I think Google think they can, rough feathers with the top two big boys, but they won't.
And if people want an affordable console, they can get the Nintendo Switch. And the Switch has more games on it than both PlayStation and Xbox.
Yeah.
Or even better, get a PC. I know PCs are expensive, but they're future-proof.
Yeah.
Should we stop saying Google because it's setting my phone off and move on to the next story?
So, what I'm looking forward to, my top ones are Cyberpunk 2077.
Finally.
So looking forward to that. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
CD Projekt Red, isn't it?
Yeah. Last of Us 2 is another one that that's on the horizon soon. And my other one is Death Stranding, which I'm going to be talking about next because we got a 9-minute trailer last week, which I remember us announcing, but it hadn't been released. And now we've got the full 9-minute trailer and the release date, which was far earlier than I expected. I thought it would be next year. It's November the 8th, 2019. And this trailer showed us a lot more about what's going to be... Well, it showed us gameplay, but I presumed it was stealth gameplay, but Hideo Kojima on his Twitter has said multiple times, this is not a stealth game, this is not a action game, this is about connection, whatever that means. Apparently it's going to be heavily focused on building connections between different players. And I can't even describe what I watched because I don't understand what's going on.
I haven't actually seen the trailer, so I can't help you there.
Yeah, we saw more of Mads Mikkelsen, more of Norman Reedus, and we saw some Guillermo del Toro in it, more Troy Baker as well.
Troy Baker.
Yeah, love Troy Baker.
The man, the myth, the legend. And am I the only one who actually thinks that Mads Mikkelsen is very good looking?
He is, yes. There's this thread going on Hideo Kojima's Twitter where he said his Mads character wasn't going to be a smoker until apparently one time while they were filming, Mads went out for a cigarette break and Hideo went out with him and saw how good he looked smoking a cigarette. It was like, I'm going to add that into my game.
I might just play the game for that then, honestly.
Can I ruin Mads Mikkelsen for you?
Oh no.
Mads Mikkelsen does look good, but I can see about sort of 20% Richard Hammond in him.
No.
And when you see it, you won't unsee it, but I'm hoping that I can ruin Mads Mikkelsen.
I think you need to go to Specsavers.
I need to see this actually. Hang on.
So while they're looking at that, I'm going to talk a little bit more about what we saw. So my theory is that there's kind of some multi-universe stuff going on. So it seems like they're going through different dimensions because one minute you're in this vast plain, the next minute you're in this snowy area. And then there was one scene which kind of looked a bit based off World War One. And they were using some kind of alien technology. I don't know. I'm thoroughly confused.
That's like those zombies levels in Call of Duty Black Ops.
Yeah. And they seem to have these kind of weird babies that they can use to travel through dimensions, and apparently it's a bit morally ambiguous, but they realise they have to do it to save the world. Yeah, I don't...
Jesus.
So, I'm just going to leave that until it's released, and then we...
Sounds like a weird acid trip.
I feel like we're not going to understand what's going on even when it comes out.
To be fair, that's exactly because it's going to come out in November, so 1 month after you're back to uni. I think not understanding what's going on in real life and in the video game you're playing as well is going to be brilliant.
That was the problem through many of the Metal Gear Solid games, was that I had no idea what was going on. Especially in Metal Gear Solid 5, you've got a girl who breathes through her skin because she uses photosynthesis to stay alive. So you know what? I'm just gonna leave it until it's released and play it and see what Hideo's come up with this time. So, next that's been announced is Marvel's Avengers, which we first saw a teaser trailer for quite a few years ago. It was basically like a little title announcement. And it's being published by Square Enix, and it's being developed by Crystal Dynamic, who made the Tomb Raiders. And that's been confirmed for E3, and we don't know anything about it yet, but it seems quite interesting. HK, you said you were looking forward to this.
I am, yeah, because, well, I love Avengers, and I need more Marvel content until Spider-Man Far From Home comes out and until I can get Endgame on DVD. I am also quite hopeful for the quality of it because the people who are behind it, like I said, are behind the Tomb Raider games, and the recent Tomb Raider games have been, really quite good, by all accounts. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do with it. I would like them to see if they do something different to what the movies have done, so not follow the Infinity Saga, do something completely different with a different villain who nobody knows about.
Yeah.
And just work with that, really.
I was wondering whether it was going to be set in the same universe as the films, or whether they're going to do a bit like what the Arkham games did and just do base it more off the comics than anything.
There is some hope that it could be set in the same universe as the Spider-Man game, because you've got the Spider-Man game was called Marvel's Spider-Man. This is called Marvel's Avengers. So
oh yeah, of course.
it could be set in the same universe.
Yeah, now I understand why you asked me whether it was going to be PlayStation exclusive. Yeah.
The only thing I've really got to say about it, they've got to do it right. There's been so many film-related video games where in the past they've just not been up to scratch. So maybe if they move away from the universe, it would give them a bit more leeway to mess it up. But I hope they do a good job.
That's what the Spider-Man game did, and it did it very well.
The Spider-Man game is completely unrelated from the movie.
Yeah, and it's based more off the comics. Yeah, so that sounds interesting. We've already talked about Call of Duty. I'm just going to say a little bit more about that, so I've got a few informations here. That's going to be released on October the 25th, just in time for the kids to go back to school.
What, this year?
Yeah.
Just in time for me to get bored of FIFA when that comes out in September.
Yeah, this is what turned me off about Call of Duty, is that they just release a game every year, so how good can it be? Which also turned me off Assassin's Creed.
See, the way Call of Duty does it is that it rotates between 3 studios. So it used to be just 2 studios, Infinity Ward and Treyarch, but now it's Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer Games. So each studio has about 2 to 3 years to develop the next game, so it could be good.
Yeah, could be. It's going to include cross-play, which is something that's being included in quite a few games recently. We're finally getting some collaboration between the consoles and PC, and they're letting us play with our friends. Jacob, you and I could play with each other.
I am so going to kill you.
Jacob's an Xbox player, and I'm a PlayStation player. So,
I could join in on my laptop.
Yeah, HK can join in on their laptop.
It's nice to have cross-platformers which aren't Fortnite.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So it's also going to have no season pass, which is interesting. Could we possibly get the full game on release? Who knows? And it's also a little bit ambiguous, but it said it's going to include co-op missions. Now, I'm wondering whether you can play the main campaign with your friends.
Call of Duty World at War had a whole cooperative campaign. I have so many good memories of doing the Call of Duty 5 cooperative campaign with my brother. That was probably the most fun I'd had playing Call of Duty, honestly. So I hope that it is the same thing, honestly. I think it could be a very interesting direction to go.
I hope they do take it in that direction. It would encourage other games to go in that direction, and I get bored of single player more than some other people do. So if other games can go on this cooperative campaign thing, I'm all for it, and I really hope that Call of Duty get it right to encourage other studios to move in that direction. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, because that's why I like MMOs so much, because when you have an MMO, you also have a campaign within that MMO, and if you know how to do it, you can play the campaign with your friends. That's why I'm so... I mean, despite all of the controversies around it, I am looking forward to the Skyrim Together
Which is what we wanted from Fallout 76, but we never got.
Exactly.
So, that sounds interesting. And talking more about Square Enix, I feel like Square Enix this year are going to be what Capcom were last year. You know, the unexpected, pleasant surprise, because they've got another game coming out, and this is entirely original, and it's going to be the first of maybe a series. We don't know much about it, but they've been teasing it on Twitter with an interesting marketing campaign. So it's called Outriders, and it's got its own Twitter account, and basically it's been up since 2017, which I'm presuming is when production started. But since May this year, they've suddenly started posting. And basically, the tweets come in the form of mission logs by someone called Captain Simon B. Archen. And basically, she's talking about how they've launched a ship called the Flores, which is going to go to a planet called Enoch, which is supposedly humanity's last chance for survival. And basically, these mission logs have been posting throughout the month. And we've seen this story build up through them, where the ship has taken damage and lost connection to Earth, and some of the cryopods have been damaged. And then finally, the last tweet on this account has been that the Flores is nearing Enoch, and the last tweet says we are now entering Enoch's orbit, which I'm presuming is what the game's going to be about, like them exploring this unknown planet which could save humanity. And I thought that sounded really interesting.
It does.
Yeah,
it does. Sorry.
That's going to be shown at E3, so we can see its full potential. And also, I really want more space games.
I want space games if they've got good graphics.
I feel like Bethesda have obviously got, what's it called, Starfleet?
Starfield.
I always forget. It's just such a basic name.
There are so many space games out there. But, I am quite looking forward to speak of space games, I am quite looking forward to the Outer Worlds.
Oh, yeah. Is that a space game?
That is a space game.
Oh, cool. I thought it looked a bit apocalyptic.
No, you're on a different planet and you're moving between other planets because you're a space smuggler.
Oh, okay. I wasn't concentrating, apparently.
There's a reason it's called the Outer Worlds.
That does make sense.
No, I do hope we see more of that. I mean, because Microsoft do have their own thing at E3, and Microsoft owns Obsidian, who are making the Outer Worlds. So I do hope we see some more of that, because I think there is a lot of desperation for a space age RPG.
Yeah. So that's it for games, and we're going to move on to movies now. This week, the trailer for the new Rambo film has been released with 70-year-old Sylvester Stallone kicking ass. So, does anybody watch any of the Rambos? Yeah, neither do I, but basically the storyline sounds a little bit interesting. Basically, a journalist has been investigating the Mexican drug trade. All of a sudden, her daughter is kidnapped, and she hires Rambo to rescue her. And that's coming out September the 20th.
Is that our future careers?
Yeah, I think so.
For those who don't know, we're all journalists.
Yeah, so that sounds interesting. I feel like there's a bit of a theme going on where they keep on bringing back old 80s heroes and like making them reprise their roles. Oh, yeah. Like we're getting Indiana Jones.
Exactly. Indiana Jones starts filming this week, I think.
Yeah. What else is coming out? I don't think there's anything else really.
Just give them their pension.
Yeah,
please.
just leave them alone. Let him retire.
It's like milking. Do you know what they're doing? They're milking the franchise so they don't lose the copyright. Yeah. They don't lose the rights to it.
Terminator's another one, wheeling Arnie out in his wheelchair.
But Arnie can do anything. I mean, you saw that bloke kick him in the back the other day. He didn't even know.
He thought someone pushed him.
Yeah, but the funny thing about this is in Creed, like Rocky can't do anything. He starts boxing and then all of a sudden has a heart attack, and now we're supposed to believe that Sylvester Stallone can take on 20 or so cartel members. So
don't doubt the Stallone.
That sounds interesting. And also
Spider-Man Far From Home's coming out. That's another thing.
Yeah, that's this summer, isn't it? Is it July?
Yeah, I think it's I think we're all still recovering a bit from Endgame.
Yeah, I'm not really looking forward to it. It looks good, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I feel a bit exhausted now.
I do too.
Emotionally used.
I'm not ready to move on to the next stage of the Marvel.
They should have waited.
But you will anyway.
I will
Marvel
anyway.
Know that you're going to be loyal to them and still go.
Yeah.
Of course.
On top of that, there's a new Brad Pitt film coming out called Ad Astra. This looks like the dumb space movie of the year.
It can't be as bad as Gravity. Surely not.
Gravity's a great film. What are you on about?
You know what I noticed? We haven't had a dumb end of the world film for a while.
2012.
Yeah, but that was like, we had 2012. We had that one that was about planes crashing.
The Simpsons did a parody of that. I can't remember what it was, but
yeah, I can't remember what it's called. Gran Torino.
If it's been parodied by the Simpsons,
San Andreas. That's it. So when I saw the title, I was like, oh, they're making a Grand Theft Auto film.
No, it turns out it's Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah,
trying to stop California from dropping off.
I think that was the last one, and all of a sudden they stopped.
I will point out both films, though. Both of them have been parodied by The Simpsons. If your End of the World film has been parodied by The Simpsons, you know it's bad.
Yeah. So basically, this has got Brad Pitt and Liv Tyler in. It comes out in September, and it's about an astronaut following in his father's footsteps after he disappeared on a mysterious mission. And now, all of a sudden, an incident called the Surge has happened, where all the power and communications have been shut off. So Brad Pitt goes to go and find a solution to all this. And what made me laugh was I saw a video on YouTube called every blockbuster Hollywood movie. Have you seen a trailer? Have you seen it?
No. It
basically breaks down like why all these trailers feel the same, and this absolutely like got it on the spot, 'cause you've got the Beethoven going on, and all of a sudden it becomes into a more epic version of Beethoven. You've got all the flashy images, you got the drum sounding, and it looked ridiculous.
Yeah. Speaking of ridiculous movies, got another Men in Black movie coming out as well, haven't we?
When's that coming out?
I think in the summer as well. It's another summer blockbuster. You've got Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson.
See, I don't want to like it, but it's got Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson in
I
it.
know.
And I absolutely adore both of them. So.
And they're both really nice to look at.
I'm assuming Will Smith is coming back for this, is he not?
No.
No.
But he and Tommy Lee Jones are both mentioned multiple times because, they're just so iconic.
I was hoping we could get Will Smith Aladdin and Will Smith Men in Black in the same year and compare just how...
Speaking of which, Aladdin came out. Reviews...
What, when? It came out?
I don't know. I've been seeing a load of reviews for it. Yeah, it's out because I saw it in the cinema.
Well, that slipped under the radar.
Yeah, that it's had mixed reviews, I believe.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah, so we'll see about that. And we've got news about Bond 25. So I remember a few weeks ago we announced that Daniel Craig had injured himself on set once again, and now something more extreme has happened.
I know he likes to do his own stunts, but in his age he should really stop.
No, it's not Daniel Craig's fault this time. So it's another setback at Pinewood Studios in London. They had a controlled explosion. But it clearly wasn't very controlled because it's damaged the set and injured a crew member, and now they have to wait to repair the set because that's not cheap. Every James Bond film, I'll remind you, this is Bond 25. It was called Shatterhand as a working title, but everyone's calling it Bond 25 again.
I hope they changed the name from Shatterhand. It feels ridiculous.
Doesn't sound good. But yeah, so they've been set back again. So we might get a Bond film eventually. But yeah, if you can't even make a controlled explosion, it's probably going to take some time.
What are they doing?
It's like Skyfall took 3 years to make because MGM kept running out of money.
I think at this point they're just trying to go for the most high-budget damage film ever. Like, do you remember the Blues Brothers when they damaged 106 police cars just for the hell of it? I think they're going for that sort of theme again.
Oh, I loved the Blues Brothers movie.
I remember the worst one I've heard about was Mad Max Fury Road, which was in development for 10 years because first they picked a desert to film in, and then all of a sudden it flooded and loads of pretty flowers started growing everywhere. And they thought, no, we can't film it here.
And it was the first time it had rained there in 20 years.
So they picked another desert, and then the Afghanistan war started happening, and they thought, okay, so we can't do a film about the apocalypse during this. So they waited a little while. And then they picked another desert, and then 9/11 happened. So they thought, okay, so we can't do another apocalypse film while everyone's still recovering from that. So we'll wait a little while. Then they picked another desert, and then all of a sudden the film crew started vandalising it and leaving rubbish everywhere. So they got kicked out, and they have to find another desert. And then on top of this, they were originally going to have Mel Gibson, then he got too mad to play Mad Max, so they had to recast him, and they ended up picking Tom Hardy. Perfect choice, by the way. I love Tom Hardy. And then the filming of the film in general was just mad because a lot of the explosions that happened on the car actually happened. It's very little CGI was used in it, apart from the usual filters and color correction and stuff. And it sounds insane, but it all turned out well in the end.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there is a trend of films nowadays just spending years in development. Hell,
yeah.
Like I think the Don Quixote movie was in development for 20 odd years.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, the new Sherlock Holmes movie, which is coming out in 2020, I think, or 2021, has been in development hell since 2012. So it's. Yeah.
I don't know how that can be sustainable for film studios because you shoot it all and then, oh wait, 4K technology is out, and surely you'd want to reshoot it on 4K cameras, would you not?
Yeah.
You can digitally remaster things. They've remastered things in the past.
But I don't know the technology on that. That's too intelligent for me.
So next up, we've got the next Man's Car film. Jacob, do you want to talk about this?
I am so excited about this. So we've had so many good car action films over the years. We had Rush, the story of Niki Lauda and James Hunt. That was brilliant. We had Senna, about Ayrton Senna. That was a brilliant documentary movie. We're now having the action biography of Ford versus Ferrari. It's going to be called Ford versus Ferrari in the States. In the UK, it's going to be called Le Mans 1966. And before I go on to basically who's in it and what's it about, it's being released in the UK before it's released in the US.
Woo!
So that's amazing. Basically, it's based on a real-life story. So owner of Ford, wants to go faster than Ferrari at Le Mans. How does he do it? He gets in a designer called Carroll Shelby, who is being played by Matt Damon.
Oh, that's a good choice, actually.
And they develop their car really fast with a crazy test driver called Ken Miles, who's being played by Christian Bale. And basically it goes through the story of how they get to Le Mans, can they beat Ferrari, the sacrifices they had to make,
and the birth of the Mustang in the
Mustang, the GT40, absolutely gorgeous cars. So I'm very excited about this. Jess isn't.
I'm actually quite hyped for it now because I love the Mustang.
And the trailer came out last week. The cinematography looks gorgeous, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to this coming out.
Yeah, so it comes out on the 9th of November in the UK, and then a full 6 days later, 8th of November in the UK, then a full 7 days later it comes out in the US. So, and what I found most interesting about this, it's a car film, so I'm not really that bothered, but it's being directed by James Mangold, who did Logan. Absolutely spectacular film.
Absolutely
Logan is.
spectacular film.
I can't really convince people to go and watch it though, because it is an X-Men film.
I know, but I had to pause it multiple times while watching it just because it was so emotionally heavy.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a superhero film at all. But I'm not sure whether you could watch it standalone. Maybe you could.
But hopefully this film, since it's being directed by the same person, will carry the same weight. I mean, the thing about Carroll Shelby is, I'm not sure if you know this, Jacob, is that he had this heart condition, which meant he had to take these glycerine pills, and that's why he got into racing, because he thought, well, I might as well live my life while I still can.
That's right, yeah. And that, from what I've seen in the trailer, has been sort of captured quite well. That sort of gung-ho, let's live while we can attitude. And I'm hoping that it conveys in the whole film. I really do, because that could be up there with how good Rush was.
Yeah. I mean, Matt Damon is a fantastic actor, so I think he is probably the perfect choice to play a guy like Carroll Shelby.
Rush is an amazing film. Even though I don't like cars, I still watch Rush, and I was really moved by it. And I love Hans Zimmer's score for it as well.
I was going to say the casting in that as well, though, was brilliant. So if the casting is just as good here with Ken Miles and Carroll Shelby, great. We're on for a winner.
We can't go wrong with Christian Bale.
No, that man has some serious range.
Yeah.
Go from playing Batman 1 minute to a mob boss the next minute, and then Dick Cheney.
Yeah. So now we're going to move on to TV. This isn't a big production. I'm not sure whether people are going to be looking forward to this, but I'm going to be addressing HK here because Jacob, I'm sure you haven't. Have you seen the Batmans?
Absolutely not, I'm afraid.
Okay. So HK, what comes into mind when I say Alfred Pennyworth?
Old. Father figure. ex-SAS, as far as I know. Reliable. Inoffensive. Yeah.
Yeah, so Alfred Pennyworth is Bruce Wayne, who, spoiler alert, is Batman. He's his little English butler, in most of the films. He's kind of like, a little brings him tea and stuff, and
bandages him up.
Yeah, and scolds him for going out and beating people up for a living. But in this new TV show that's coming out, I've never heard this. It must be American. A TV channel called Epix.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, a new TV show that's coming out on the 28th of July this year. It's going to have 10 one-hour episodes, and it's created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. And basically, it shows us a side of Alfred Pennyworth that we have never seen before. He's played by Jack Bannon, who I think is a relatively unknown name. When I saw his filmography, he's in the Imitation Game and stuff, but I can't picture his face. And basically, the story is about a former British SAS soldier who forms a security company and works with Thomas Wayne, who's Batman's father, in 1960s London. And it's kind of got like a Peaky Blinders feel to it.
Peaky Blinders. Is it meant to be a comedy or an action or a gritty drama?
I think it's a bit of both. And it's got Paloma Faith in it.
I don't really like Paloma Faith.
Yeah, well, I thought that was interesting, and I find it so funny because
who's playing Thomas Wayne?
Ben Aldridge.
Well, that could work, I suppose. I mean, it'd be interesting to see where they take it. I watched like the first series of Gotham, but then they had that big gap. Yeah. And I didn't know when it came back after that gap, so I just stopped watching because I couldn't keep up.
I think the people making this were involved in Gotham, so I think that's where it's come from. But I just found it really funny when I was reading it. you picture Alfred as this kind of, like gentle soul, and he's like, Bruce, you shouldn't be going out murdering people at this time of night. And then we've got this TV show coming out.
Yeah.
So
that'll be an interesting one for sure.
Yeah. And now we're going to move on to music. So we've got quite a lot of music news for once.
Oh, we're here already.
Jacob's gearing up for that.
My expertise is going to come into play. I'm going to start off with Miley Cyrus, and I'm going to start off with a message for any man, woman, or child or adult out there. Don't grope people. So Miley Cyrus, obviously, she's just starred in Black Mirror. I believe that's out now, so go and watch it. Also some new music, but she's been in Barcelona, and essentially she was horribly groped and kissed without consent. She's come out with this statement which has received many views on Twitter, over 5.1 million views. She can be wearing what she wants. She can be a virgin. She can be sleeping with 5 different people. She can be with her husband. She can be with her girlfriend. She can be naked. She can't be groped without her consent. And the hashtag is don't with my freedom. So a powerful message from Miley Cyrus, and she's always been, displaying messages like that. So it's obviously very disappointing that she has had to be, touched like that. She doesn't deserve it. And people have actually come out and sort of victim blamed. Oh, why are you riding naked on a wrecking ball? Well, no, that's not how it works. So
I do feel like this is an issue which isn't addressed properly, and I feel like there should be some kind of further protection for music artists who are up on stage, because this also happened to Billie Eilish during a meet and greet.
She's 17, for God's sake, people. 17,
and in America, most states in America, the legal age is 18, so she's actually a minor. And she was groped by someone during a meet and greet, and she said she was a bit shook up by that. And also, it's not just these two. These two are just stuff that's recently come into light. There's always been a thing where, say, if a star is on stage and they lean over into the crowd, they get grabbed.
It's not just women as well, it's men. Was it Brendan Urie came out a couple of weeks ago and said something as well?
Yeah. Like, I remember when I was a young teen and watching 30 Seconds to Mars concerts, and every time Jared Leto would go into the crowd to get his shirt ripped off. And he seemed okay with it, but he never really spoke out against it. But still, that's just unacceptable. And I feel like there should be more things in place to prevent this. Like, people should actually be held accountable for doing that. Just because they're stars, you can't just go around groping people like that. You can't. It should become something that's not normalised.
The way to implement that would be at these gigs. Obviously, you have the big burly security blokes at the front. Put a camera on them.
Yeah.
Because they always go near the artist when they're going over the barrier to hold them from falling in. Put a camera on them, and you'll be able to see who or what decides to touch them inappropriately.
Yeah.
And that way, the artist, if they did so want to, would be able to press charges. I do feel that also artists sort of like, I don't know, but I feel artists are sometimes told not to push charges, but
yeah,
why
maybe not
shouldn't
even
they?
push charges. All they have to do is just ask for that person to be removed and sent out. Make this a known thing that it's not okay to be touching people up during a concert. And if you are gonna do that, then you can't be at the concert. Simple as.
Now, I'm going to also move on to another sad story. I'm very sorry to bring a note down on this podcast, but we're going to be saying goodbye soon to a very long-standing friend. iTunes is going to be going away. It's going to be split into 3 apps: Apple TV, Apple Podcasts, and Apple Music. Yes, they've got to have Apple in front of them. You'll still have access to all the things that you had on iTunes. They will be transferred over to these apps somehow. So you're not going to lose everything that you had. But yeah, a very long time friend. We've all grown up with iTunes in one way or another.
I didn't.
You didn't.
No.
But, well,
I keep getting iTunes vouchers for my birthday and Christmas. That's literally the only reason I use it.
I was going to say, in my high school, at the end of term assemblies with the awards, the award would always be one of the little, the little iPod. Not even, what was the smallest one? Was it the Nano?
We used to get offered an iPod Shuffle.
That's it, Shuffles, yeah. I got 3 iPod Shuffles from my high school. They're still in the box unopened.
How many songs could they get on them? Because I always wanted one. Because I actually, you know what? I was really happy with my little. I had a Walkman, and it was like a little memory stick thing, and I think that could get around about 300 or so.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I believe it was about that much. So yeah, very sad goodbye. Are you going to miss it?
No.
No, am I overhyping how sad it is?
I still buy. What I do is I listen to Spotify, and if I really like an album, I'll buy it on CD to support the band. And, with the band merch and everything. So that's what I tend to do. I feel like Spotify's got everything that you need,
Spotify's
really.
just eating everything. Yeah.
The problem with Spotify is that a lot of songs that were made for films or games you'll find won't be on there. Like there was a cover of Ordinary World done for Evil Within 2, which I really liked, but that's not available on Spotify due to copyright.
The Beatles also had a long-standing issue with Spotify and other streaming platforms, but now they are on there. So yeah, goodbye iTunes. Hello new apps. They'll be happening soon. I'm wondering how long I can not update my MacBook to keep iTunes.
I mean, when you first said that we're saying goodbye to an old friend, I thought you were going to talk about Paul Simon. His farewell tour finishes this month. Paul Simon, he's one half of the duo of the American folk duo, Simon and Garfunkel. He's one of my favorite artists. Simon and Garfunkel are my favorite. I love Simon and Garfunkel. Like, I can't even put it into words. So that's quite sad. I'm quite sad about that. But yeah, but iTunes is equally as tragic and horrifying. It's the death of a staple of the music community, and I think we should all take stock.
Now I'll just rattle through the final music stories quickly before I let you go away to do other things rather than listening to this podcast. Jay-Z is the first billionaire rap star. He's a billionaire rap star before Eminem could be, before Drake, surprisingly. So congratulations to Jay-Z. Korean K-pop band BTS. They played the other day in front of a sold-out Wembley Stadium. Not Wembley Arena, Wembley Stadium. Over 60,000 people. They are the first South Korean, and I think maybe even the first Asian band or artists to sell out Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, I can't think of any other Asian artists or bands that
I think that is the first one, so congratulations to them. And to end off with today, we're going to play a game. HK doesn't know this. I'm springing a surprise on HK. So Rihanna has been, by Forbes, called the wealthiest female artist with a revenue of about $600 million. Can you name any one of the 3 female artists just below her? The next 3 richest female artists.
Beyonce?
She's in there. Can you guess what position?
4th?
Correct. She has got a wealth of $400 million.
Miley Cyrus?
Incorrect. She is not in the top 5.
Oh. Beyonce?
You said?
You said Beyonce.
Sorry, I meant Adele?
Nope, she's not in there. She's still just a London girl. Think back.
I don't know.
Think to when you were like a virgin.
Yeah, that's not very far. I can't
You
think.
completely missed my pun. Madonna, 570 million. She's in second. And Celine Dion, 450 million in third. That surprised me. Celine Dion. I wouldn't think she's worth more than Beyonce.
Obviously huge in Canada.
I mean, she got her start on Eurovision.
Yeah, and she also, I think she's most well known for My Heart Will Go On, which was a song made for Titanic, which is one of the biggest selling films ever made.
You mean she's not most well known for the Deadpool soundtrack?
Oh, that was amazing as well. She said that she doesn't know what Deadpool is, who he is, or what was going on, but it was a beautiful song.
It was.
Yeah.
I wonder if she's found out yet.
I was really disappointed when that wasn't nominated for Best Original Song, with Lady Gaga, Shallow. Yeah, I was really... Because I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
That's all the music news I'm going to do today. So I think, unless anyone else has got anything else to say...
I suppose this does count as music news if you play and video game news as well. If you play Beat Saber on the PlayStation VR, there's a new music pack coming out this Friday.
What's Beat Saber?
Beat Saber.
It's brilliant. It's a proper workout game.
It's this VR game where you've got these 2 sabers, obviously the controllers, and you have to destroy these blocks while the song plays in the background. You've got to do it in the rhythm of the song, and it's quite good fun. My partner plays it quite a lot.
That reminds me, Minecraft VR for E3.
Oh, what happens if you fall into a ravine in VR?
Oh no! Oh,
Are they wanting?
That's gonna make me feel sick.
Are they wanting people to have cardiac arrests and accidents?
See, I've actually watched people play Minecraft VR early access, and It's terrifying. It really is. They've turned Minecraft into a horror game.
What about when you dig right down into the ground and it feels really claustrophobic because everywhere you look there's a wall?
Or when you're in a cave and you hear a strange noise behind you.
I mean,
Turn around and you can see the spider scuttling towards you.
It was
What a
scary.
horrifying thought.
It was scary enough when I was, like a preteen playing, and I'd have like something fall on me in a cave. Imagine you've got the headset on, the goggles on, and from behind comes a cave spider, and you turn around and it's there.
Unpopular opinion, but I always thought the worst sound was when you get hit, like that crunchy sound. Oh, it's awful.
And when you get rid of all the torches in a room with an Enderman and he starts screaming at you.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Enderman. That was terrifying. It's going to be that's to wrap up that episode. Minecraft VR is going to be the next big horror game. So that was this is probably going to be the last episode before we break up for summer,
and probably the last one I'm going to be on because I'm going to be in Canada next year.
Oh yeah, of course. HK is going to Canada next year, so we won't be able to see you again.
No.
Yeah.
Unless I use my technical marvels and get HK in a studio in Canada to dial in to this studio, and we can do a worldwide entertainment room.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or we can find a HK 2.0. Maybe Harry can become our HK 2.0.
I think there's a big stylistical difference.
My name is HK. I'm the android sent by Cyberlife.
So, and also thank you for HK for coming on your birthday.
You're welcome. It's always a pleasure.
Happy birthday, HK.
Thank
if
you
everyone
very
can
much.
comment happy birthday, HK, we appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
They came all the way here for their birthday.
From my flat, which is like 10 minutes away.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap up this episode and let HK go home and celebrate.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure hosting this podcast. We will be doing this next year. It might be a radio show.
Might be a radio show, might be new guests, might be some of the same old, might be a completely different style. We've got a long time to think about it.
Might be worldwide.
We hope you don't miss us too much, but don't forget that next week you have got the big E3 special. HK, Rhiannon and Jess will be on that. I'll be stepping back.
Oh yeah, of course. We're saying goodbye to HK, but you're going to be on next week.
This is going to be the goodbye for the last regular HK Entertainment Room podcast. But yeah, do come next week. It's going to be absolutely sensational. I'm taking a step out, and we're going to have 3 gaming experts. Their knowledge, you couldn't put it in a container. You'd have to put it in 2 containers. That's how big their gaming knowledge is.
You could hang around if they announce Fortnite VR.
Fortnite, FIFA, Minecraft, and Forza, and Formula 1. There you go.
Well, you can cover the Microsoft thing.
Oh, I can give my Xbox opinion because none of you are Xboxy people, you traitors.
Yeah. So, to be honest, what do you think Microsoft might come up with any news about their next console? Because we definitely know Sony aren't.
I'd like it. Now would be the good time. If you get out there, in terms of marketing ploy, if you get out there before Sony do, you're making a jolly good start.
Yeah, because Sony, I think Sony beat them and finally beat them in the console wars, I think.
I think they have.
They've just got enough sales.
If they take this opportunity at E3, surprise us, come out and get something out there before Sony do, then they're doing it right. That is marketing gone right.
IGN did I know they're not that reliable, but they did a survey where they got all their readers to vote which console they were most looking forward to. And bear in mind, this was out of several consoles. So you had PS5, next Xbox, and the Switch. 50% wanted the PS5, whereas you had like 20 or so for Xbox. So
you need to get good.
Yeah, Microsoft have got to have something up their sleeve this round.
And it has to be better than Xbox Kinect.
Yeah.
That will do it.
Yeah, this has been a pleasure, and I look forward to hosting this again next year.